Monday. It is Motivational Monday. I need my motivational coffee. Welcome. I hope everybody had a good weekend. If you are joining me for today's tank top workout, please let me know who you are, where you're from, and with upper body, if you are having issues doing any of the exercises today, there's always a modification or a workaround. There is never one way to do things, but sometimes there's only one or two ways to do things for your body type and what you might be dealing with. So if you're dealing with things like frozen shoulder, arthritis, some of the stuff we are doing today is very much like a push-up. So it does require range of motion to get down on the ground. If you do not have the range of motion to get down on the ground, there are other videos that Amber and Roseanne and myself have done, and there are always options. Hello from Natasha. What a great name. McFarland. I have a friend with the last Stella McFarland out east. But today we are going to be doing direct applications, which means the upper body is going to be in contact with the platform. Whether you have done upper body exercises like this on the floor in the past or not, there's always a way to modify depending on your conditioning and any deficiencies that you might be dealing with. So we're going to do some foundational stuff. We're going to progress to some harder stuff. And because it is tank top season, everybody wants to know, oh my gosh, if I haven't been working on that body all summer, what can I do to expedite things? If range of motion has allowed you to join me on the floor today, I am going to show you a few skin tone and toning applications that you can use if you're able to get your body down here. Hello, Miss Johnson. And hello, it's like the Double Mint twins, Kim and Kim. Okay, before I spill my coffee, I can't tell you how many times I'm doing my thing and I'll set my coffee on the machine and I'll start the machine and my coffee. Anyways, it's just kind of my own thing, or my water, but it always seems to be the coffee, the thing that stains and is sticky, not my water that I do that with. So today we are down on the ground. If you are dealing with bad knees, I know today is up about upper body, but we are down on the ground on our knees. Have a mat available if you're not working on a soft surface. I'm on a foam floor, but if you do have trouble knees, throw on some knee pads, throw on a pad, do what you need to do to give some cushion, because we're going to be spending some time on the knees. If the knees are bad and you're new to vibration machines, I absolutely recommend spending some time doing some standing exercises, some squats, just some basic stuff, and you'll find very quickly that the knees will allow you to be down on the ground more comfortably. And you may want to do a couple of those things after. If you're finding you're stiff and you're sore from what we've done today, get up and feel free to do a couple of upper body exercises or standing exercises too. So a couple of basic lessons I've reviewed, and I'm in front of my mirrors today so that you can see some angle work. And I try to keep things simple and effective, because if you don't come from a big exercise background, getting elaborate or exotic sometimes is just intimidating, and it looks like a lot more work than it needs to be. A lot of people ask me, oh, Deb, what do you do for upper body exercises because your arms are in such shape? Well, I am a mom and I move around big, heavy exercise machines all day. So that's part of it. But I really don't vary a lot from a basic push-up with a few changes in my angles. So I just want to show you how you can kind of kill yourself really, really quickly to get the toning and the shape, maybe a little bit of firmness. So for my young crowd, and for those of you that maybe haven't been doing upper body exercises for a long time, if you've never done a push-up on the floor, you have no business doing one on a vibration machine. Learn the basics. So the basics of a push-up are you're holding your upper body up with your hands and your shoulders. If this is hard on you already for the wrists or the shoulders or any body part, it's going to be challenging on the machine. So maybe you have some preliminary work. We are not on our toes yet. Going to your toes for any of these exercises makes you heavier, certainly makes the exercise more challenging, but maybe you've got a bad back or a bad neck. So start, if you've never done exercises like this on the vibration plate, just put your body weight on your knees. Today's about feeling it and getting your technique down, and then you can progress and make things harder, as I've shown in other sessions. So to start out, I want your machine in oscillating mode. Everything I do is in oscillating side to side. That's what every machine offers, and it's the primary movement of these vibration plates. Many of you have pulsation, lateral, and you like to use combinations. The positions I do are always universal, but the adaptations, there are a few that need to be done if you're in oscillating mode. So I always demonstrate in oscillating. Plus, I feel it's the most effective for lots of reasons. So we're going to turn the machine on. Depending on what your machine offers, I want you at a mid speed or level. I'm working on the Pro, the Rumblex Pro today. So I'm going to bring mine up to like the 30, 40 range. Mine has 60 speed levels. And I want your hands no more. Oh, I'm on a lump here or something that's making noises. I want you no more than shoulder width apart. I don't want you wider than your shoulders. If you're closer, sometimes you feel a little bit unstable. So we're just going to have our hands distanced apart the same width as our shoulders. And I want that. So that's the first lesson. Second lesson is the angle of your shoulders and your hands. If you want to minimize the amount of vibration going to your noodle right now, it's not harmful. Head vibration to the head and the neck, it is absolutely not harmful. What sometimes becomes harmful is ourselves in guarding and protecting those areas. So if you're dealing with degenerative disc or you have problems in these areas, the first thing we do when we start feeling the stimulation is we fight it. We resist it. We guard. We protect. And all we're doing is becoming rigid. It's a terribly uncomfortable experience. Sometimes we stop breathing. You know, we just don't have good form. So it's not that the exercise is causing harm to these areas, but because we're not holding good form, it's uncomfortable. So if you are dealing with deficiencies, feel comfortable to bring your hands closer to reduce the amount of movement. I want you no more than shoulder width apart for those of you that are comfortable. And I want you pushing your body forward until your hands are in line with your shoulders. If you're further back and your head is right above your hands, you're going to get the most head shake. So push your body forward till the head is in line with the shoulders. You'll feel it more in the neck and the shoulders where you want to feel it. And if you need a warm up, you can feel free to just do some shoulder rolls, maybe move your head from side to side, whatever you would normally do sitting at your desk or on the couch, okay? I'm going to leave some time for questions after, so if I can't see you right now because the comments are going like this. So hello, if you are here joining me, tell me where you're from and tell me what your goals are and if there's anything that's holding you back from accomplishing them in the upper body department. So the first variation I want to teach you, as I said, when I'm doing my push-ups, I basically, for upper body, I do one push-up with a variation of a few angles. And the first variation is your hand position. So instead of your hands being parallel, the heel of your hand is what drives the movement. So wherever that's in contact, if the heel of your hand is further apart, you get more movement. If the heel of your hand is closer, you get less. So if you want less, interlock your fingers. It forces your elbows kind of outwards. And you're going to feel this more in the chest, in the shoulders. I want you just holding this for 2 to 3 seconds and just sort of pay attention to where you feel. If it's too hard, bring some body weight out of it. If you're finding that's easy, start distancing your hands a little bit apart. Maybe something like this, but the fingers are pointing towards each other. Okay? These are just things to experiment with. And you're going to feel it now in the shoulder blades. You know, again, add some movement. Do whatever you would normally do. This is just a stimulus that kind of ramps up these exercises you would normally be doing on the floor. So that's angle number 1. I really like how it feels here, up in my shoulders. And again, I'm feeling it release that. I always get really bad tension in my right shoulder blade. That's where I'm really feeling it the most. Okay. Next variation is we're taking our hands like this, and we're going to be in about a 45. So we're making like a little triangle with our hands for all of my fit ones that do diamond push-ups. Okay. So the fingertips form a diamond. And again, now your elbow is kind of going on at a 45 degree versus straight out beside you. Hold that for a few seconds. And again, you're going to feel that in different areas. I'm feeling it in the forearms. I'm feeling it in the front of my shoulders. Again, keep in mind, keep those hands in line with your shoulders, not your head. Okay. If this is really easy for you and you're super fit, okay, common sense would say add more body weight. But for those of you just learn these basics, they'll go a really, really, really long way. The very last variation is kind of how you would normally start. So your middle fingers are parallel. We're going to put shoulder width apart, and you're going to feel this more in the biceps, in the ribs. But my favorite vibration machine upper body hack that I've done for like 15 years is the triceps. So from this position, all we're going to do is we're going to take our elbows and we're going to tuck them up against our ribs. And it's going to force all of your upper body to be held up by the weakest muscle on the female body, the tricep, the bat wing. Okay? So shoulder width apart. We're going to take those elbows and force them up against the ribs. And just hold still. You don't need to move up and down. For those of you that have got game, yes, you can move to toes. Okay? I don't like you moving up and down in this position. Just hold a really good position till fatigue. Bend a little lower if you got more game. If you do want to move, very slow, very controlled movements. Okay, and this will fatigue faster than the other stuff, so leave it till the bitter end. Okay, that's just a variation. I like to do, and so how my little routine looks, because I've probably done, I've done like 6 minutes of yakking already. But this, in reality, when I'm doing my routine is under 2 minutes. So I start with, I do a little bit of a warm up, and I just shake and roll my shoulders. It really depends on how I feel. That decides, usually 30 seconds to a minute. If I'm really stiff, maybe I do a couple minutes on the warm up. So my first push up is my fingers facing towards each other. I'm going to push myself forward, hold, okay? And then I progress here. Personally, I tuck my bum forward. Don't let your back sag, tuck your bum forward. I hold this for about 30 seconds to a minute total. If you're fatiguing in the back or the legs before the hands, drop to your knees. You can still continue the position. You're just reducing the amount of body weight. Don't push yourself. I don't want you wrenching your back. The next variation is taking our hands. We're going to make a diamond, like a 45-degree angle. So the elbows are going at a 45 versus straight out. Again, push the body forward. Once you feel it more in the shoulders and the neck, again, hands and shoulders are in alignment. Then I hold this for maybe, I don't last as long as this one, 30 to 45 seconds maybe on this one. Pelvis is tucked forward. You want those abs engaged. If you feel your back is going, drop to the knees. Keep eating my hair. Okay. Last variation, we're going to take those hands parallel with the middle fingers. This is normally how we would line up for this to a degree. We're going to push the body forward. Okay, you're going to feel this again in the biceps, the triceps, the sides, the shoulders. If you're fitter or you're doing push-ups now, again, keep that pelvis tucked forward, engage the core. Hands are in line with your shoulders. If you're fatiguing, try to push for about a minute for each variation. And if you wanted to add the tricep variation, you'd prefer to do something like, I don't like doing tricep dips. I'll explain why next. But for the triceps, we're taking that same basic position we just did, and we're going to tuck those elbows up against our ribs, okay, like this. Practice this one on your knees. Hands are in line with shoulders. I hope you can see that in the mirror. You can see that movement. And you'll feel those bat wings are holding the mass. This is your power. This is your lift. But your triceps are the stabilizing muscle. On the legs, this is your power. This is your stabilization. So this is typically the weak one. Okay? So that is a few variations. I'm going to show you how to do a tricep dip. I don't love tricep dips. There's too many bad shoulders out there. If you're not doing these types of exercises right now, if you're not doing push-ups, no offense, you're not doing tricep dips either. And there's just way more to go wrong, in my opinion, on the technique side. So if you want to work up to something like that, I recommend, learning that little hack, tucking those elbows in first and developing this and getting a little bit stability. with women in particular, I find on the plate, we're trying to get used to the itchiness and the tingling in the head and the shaking of the earrings, and there's a few things going on before we want to push and challenge ourselves, and especially if it's positions that you're not comfortable with and haven't got the technique on those exercises now. So what a tricep dip would look like, and the reason I don't love tricep dips is I deal with a lot of seniors and I deal with a lot of poor mobility. So sometimes just getting on the ground is a challenge. Well, this one, we're kind of lifting ourselves up off the ground, but backwards on something that's moving. So, from a therapeutic standpoint, I do like to do a variation on this. Hang on, I'm backwards here. On this one, depending on your range of motion, if your elbows are in contact with the plate, that's what's driving the movement. So if you're unable to get your elbows, fairly close together, don't put a lot of body weight into this. But before you try doing an actual tricep dip, or if you just want some therapeutic feel, this is a way to start. How does it feel? So on this one, try and keep a good posture. Don't be sagging in the shoulders, if that makes sense. Have a nice straight line. Okay. And just keep your head slightly forward. We're barely putting any body weight into this. My back is not touching the machine. Depends how long you are in the torso. I find if I'm sitting right up against the machine, that's not too bad. But you might want to play with what's comfortable. This is very, I could sit here and watch TV like this for 3/4 of an hour. Kid you not, I just love how this feels. But I don't have a lot of time. So, and I'm here to show you how to do a tricep dip. So doing a tricep dip, what you want to do is put the hands, the palms, and the fingertips are just sticking over the edge of the plate. Try and get your hands as close as you can. And if you are at this point unable to lift your bum up off the ground without wrenching the shoulders, you're not ready for this. So you should be lifting yourself up, but you shouldn't look like this. Like all you're doing is moving your head, okay? You want to lift and hold, okay? You can bring your feet a little bit closer. Your bum is just right at the edge of the plate, and you can lift yourself up. Hold still, stick the chest out. Don't be sagging, okay? And the minute you start to feel the structure in the shoulders and the neck dropping, you're done. Drop to the ground. I'd rather you do lots of little short reps to practice this one rather than trying to stick it for a minute and make it some big marathon first time out the gate, because we do, especially as women, tend to carry deficiencies in the neck and the shoulders, the bra strap, the purse, the kids. So, you might find relieving a little bit of tension and just getting used to how these exercises feel, where you're feeling it, what speeds are comfortable to you before you make it more challenging. And guess what? The whole time you're in contact, you're toning, you're moving, circulation and lymph. There's an effect, okay? So a lot of my gals that don't like to do tricep dips, that do have shoulder issues, like this one just because they feel that it's toning the arms or it's getting into the lymph nodes up in this area. Whereas, maybe, a push up on the knees or with the wrists or something is a little bit challenging. So a lot of this stuff can be therapeutic, and you're still going to get some toning, some skin tone, some maybe you carry swelling in these areas. So that's just a couple of variations that way. As I said, I don't love tricep dips, but if you're doing them now, just make sure the technique is there. Make sure that you're breathing, and add as much body weight as challenges you. Don't do what I'm doing just out the gate if you haven't done these exercises before, or practice them on the floor or on the chair or something, just to sort of get a feel of how they're supposed to work. So I promised you some toning. So toning, we sit on it, we put our calves on it, I've shown you how to massage everything below the waist. Is there a study? Is there a bunch of doctors that have done some of these exercises? No, but there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people at home that are curious, and they experiment because Debbie's showing you things, or Amber mentioned something in a video, or Roseanne tried something. So once you get comfortable with this environment, as I describe it, you're going to get curious and you're going to experiment anyway. So what I'm going to share with you now is a couple of things my clients and I have done over the past. You kind of like it or you don't. When you're massaging upper body, we're not dealing with the bigger groups of muscles and the size that we are in our legs. So try starting with a mat just to be safe. And one of the first ways is, if you're unable to do push-ups and you just want to get a little bit of movement, you can certainly put your, sort of like a seated plank, maybe, would we call this? But I always like, if your elbows are on the plate, I like mats. Okay, I don't like the elbow directly on the plate. There's too much room for bruising. How much shake depends on how wide your elbows are. So that's the point of contact in this position. It's going to be the heel of your hand, the elbow, the knees, the heel of your foot. That's in oscillating what decides how much you're moving. So this one, you're going to feel those bat wings shaking away for sure. You're going to feel it into the side of the ribs a little bit, into the shoulders. The next progression is going to be a little bit of an angle change. So you're kind of on all fours to a degree, and you're going to feel this more in the shoulders, the neck. Make sure that you're not like this too much. It's more head shake than if you come straight forward. Just relax. Don't fight and resist and become rigid. And you'll start feeling, if you haven't done these exercises but you've used your plate in the past, you might notice a little bit of itchiness or tingly pins and needles in these areas as your body gets used to these applications. And with these types of exercises, I prefer the mid to higher speeds, and just mix it up from week to week. Don't let your body get used to any one thing. Maybe try one of the programs or different movements. But the exercises themselves are always universal with me. So the next progression from this one, if you have range of motion, you can, and I might have this a little bit too close to the wall, you can lay directly, depending on what you want to tone. You can put the bicep, the forearm. If you can get it on there, don't do it lengthways. It's kind of not the way to do it. You want to be going straight down the middle of the machine. So the first example I'm going to show you is here. And all you're going to do is lay kind of face down on the floor and just drape kind of from the shoulder to the arm over. I come about part way up from the middle. Maybe rest up on your foot. This is just to get the skin tone directly on there. Maybe you've got a hand weight or something. Roll your wrists around. Stretch these muscles while you're there. Okay? The other variation is going to, of course, be flipping over and getting the backside. There is no playbook. There's no study. There's just experiment with what works for you. And on any of these positions, just these massage exercises, they're not going to do it all. They're not going to give you big biceps and tone definition, but they do help if you're doing some of the other exercises. They're a really good way to recover. If maybe you're doing other things at the gym, you could certainly do some of these just as an add-on to what you're already doing. So, range of motion is required. So if you found any of the things I was doing with you today just too challenging to get down on the ground, or it's too hard for you, work on those legs, work on some squats, maybe some step-ups, something to improve the range of motion, because there's so much advantage you can do once you get down here on the ground. If you're unable to get down here on the ground, all of us have done numerous routines where you can sit and add your upper body to the knees, or the elbows to the knees, to get some movement going there. And all of Lifepro's platforms, of course, come with accessories. You've got straps, you've got the mini bands. So again, there's always a workaround if there's a deficiency or a range of motion issue. Doesn't mean that you won't get here. That's always my hope. But if you are dealing with something medically, please don't get discouraged. There is always a way to incorporate this and still give you a lot of benefit if you lack the ability to get down on the ground. So I hope today offered a little bit of insight. The biggest trick and the biggest key with upper body and being successful is just doing it. If you are dealing with excess amounts of weight, upper body exercises like these don't burn a ton of calories. You still want to do your squats and your lunges and do something to burn the calories. If you're older, post 40 like me, get that stuff done early in the day or early in your day, whenever that starts. Get that metabolism elevated. And how often for upper body, if this is the only thing that you're doing is at home on your own, there's nothing wrong with doing a little bit of upper body every day. Again, sometimes it's therapeutic. Sometimes if you're dealing with even things like MS or fibro, just engaging in activity soothes the aches and the pains. But if you're exercising, you're pushing yourself, you're conditioning, you've got a routine, how often you want to be targeting those areas. This is a tool that you can use as a recovery or a warm-up exercise, or add a little bit of performance in complement with other things that you're doing. So if strictly the vibration plate daily is absolutely fine. If you are pushing to fatigue and you're finding that you're sore, maybe you want to do a day in between, but you could certainly do some recovery or some stretching or some other things. So just some ideas to add to maybe your existing routine. Keep it simple, keep it consistent, and that's where you're going to see the results in the very long run. I'm going to turn this beacon of a light off, and I'm going to come a little bit closer to the screen. I see Facebook user. That's some good information. Got some new moves for my plate now. And keep it simple. Like I say, if you're not doing upper body exercises right now, don't intimidate yourself. Don't make it something hard that you overdo it or just, talk yourself out of doing it altogether. She's Blaze, I'm happy to learn more. Hang on, maybe I need to start in order here. Okay, so hello. I see Nancy is here just on. What model or speed are you using? I was using the RumbleX Pro model today. I always do all of my sessions in oscillating because that is not only the primary movement of whole body vibrations, but all of Lifepro's plates offer oscillating mode. If you've just got a waver or an oscillating or a mini or something of that nature, you have oscillating. Some of you with the RumbleX have other modes. The moves I'm doing are universal, and the reason I coach in oscillating also is there's more adjustments with the amplitude and intensity to manipulate. Nancy R. Debbie is thank you, Blaze, Blaze, you're such a sweetheart. I hope you're doing well. Celie says, so glad I found you. I just received my vibration plate last month. Well, I hope you've been using it, Celie. The real secret with vibration machines and getting the benefits out of them is getting on them regularly. Don't be one of those people that does all this homework and all this shopping and then buys the thing, and then 2 days before your 30-day money-back guarantee, you go, I didn't give it a chance. It's not the machine. Don't quit on yourself. If you got this thing and you got one sitting in the box, get it open, get it out, even if you're just sitting on a chair and putting your feet on it. Get started. And once you realize how wonderful it makes you feel, you'll be like, well, I haven't been doing this every day. So if you're one of those people, and many are, we don't like change. Biologically, there's something in our brain that tells us not to. I'm happy to be learning some new moves to do on my plate. Thank you. Got some good information. Okay, so I didn't miss anybody. Today was kind of a short session. Upper body can be something that you do on your own. It can be something that you add on to an existing routine. What your workout looks like, in my experience, is much more about what your life throws at you every day. If you've got the time and you're the type of person that likes that half, 3/4 of an hour workout and your lifestyle allows for it, I would love to be able to do, everything all the time and then do some massage later. But I'm a busy mom and I homeschool and I spend as much time with you guys as I can. So a lot of times, I might do several short sessions throughout the day targeting different body parts, or maybe, my back or my sciatic's giving me grief and I just need a fix. So there's just so many wonderful things that this can do. The exercise, the toning, the tank top, there are some specific exercises that you want to target, but make sure you're working within your realm, your body type. There's lots of other options, but consistent, regular use is really gonna make the biggest difference in the long run. So summer, spring is just begun. Add a couple of minutes of what I've shown you today onto your existing standing routines, and I bet you within a couple of weeks, you'll feel it first. You always kind of feel a little bit stronger, a little less tension first, and then all of a sudden, you put a different bra or tank top on, and you'll be like, oh, wait a minute, ooh. There's little subtle things that you'll notice looking at yourself. And in the winter, we've got like sweaters and longer coats on, and we don't tend to be as critical because we're covering everything up. It's when we try that spring fashion on, like I'm looking so white to myself right now. but it is that time of year. There's going to be other things that you're doing in the form of activities where you're getting outdoors, getting into those seasonal activities, and some of this may help contribute to the sport that I call life. So next week we are going to be talking golf and gardening. Got to go, Blaze. Have fun at your other meeting. So we're going to be doing golf and gardening. I have in Canada where I'm at, it's a seasonal thing, but a lot of the muscle groups that we are affecting when we get back into gardening and we get back into golf is that core, the low back, the shoulders. So Monday, we are going to talk about golf and gardening because it is that time of year. Some of you are doing it already. So some of this will be for therapeutics. Some of it will be like you never stopped gardening. I'd love it if your back's not bugging you and your shoulders feel great. So I'm going to show you some fitness and some feel good stuff that will help you improve your golf and your gardening next week. Any suggestions for a tight piriformis muscle? Are you dealing with any like range of motions, recent surgery, anything? I don't like to just suggest an exercise openly. This is Facebook user. Hello. We are at about a 20-second delay here too. Are you dealing with something recent or are you just looking for an exercise for that is what I'm asking you. I know you're dealing more with the hip. Is it like no, you've had it before. This is a chronic thing. Okay. So I'm going to assume this is a chronic thing. We're talking upper body today, but if you're finding, sometimes if you're having a trouble with that area, getting down on the ground and what I did today might be an issue. My favorite thing to do for that is a stretch, to be honest with you. But if that's challenging, you could start by just sitting on your machine. If you don't do this now, but widen up your feet. So if you're really, really tight, this might be good maybe as a warm up. But as an exercise or as a stretch, I like to do, I don't know if you can see this here. Maybe I'll do it this way. It's looking a little better. And I put my foot flat, almost like I'm doing a sciatic relief stretch. I'm not really set up to show you all the exercises I'd like to do. You could do things like this or put a ball between the leg. Probably, I'm sorry, I'm getting so glad. I don't want to hit my mirrors there. And if there's anything that you've worked with, like as far as your physio, or if you worked with a trainer in the past, not just for your question, but if there's any exercises you've done in the past to target certain muscles or specific groups of muscles, those are all things that generally speaking can be done on this environment. So it's not like there's a specific move for a vibration machine for blah, blah, blah. But if you have an exercise that you're doing now on the floor or you've done in the past in therapy with a trainer, that type of thing, you generally speaking, even with a few modifications, could do something on the vibration plate. And something like that, if there isn't a specific session, I'm just going to, for interest's sake, see what Google might suggest as an exercise, just to see how good I am on the fly here. Lie on your back with your legs straight, lift your affected leg and bend your knee. I guess I was sort of calling that clamshells. So, there was about 8 different exercises. But if you're doing something, what I was trying to show you earlier, depending on it, I'm assuming sometimes when you have issues with the hips, it's hard to get down on the ground to do some of these exercises. But assuming you can, you start with your hips in the middle of the plate just to sort of get used to it. Just use your upper body to hold yourself up off the ground. You could put a step or a block to hold yourself up as well. And just lifting like this. You could also extend it into a leg lift. I don't know how strong you are if you're dealing with pain, those types of things. But any of these exercises that you might have been doing in the past, you're doing in bed. A lot of times there's exercises we're supposed to be doing, but we've kind of fallen off the wagon. Those are really good examples. And what I was just doing there, depending on where you might be feeling pain or weakness, sometimes just laying those body parts on the machine and doing a little bit of massage relieves it. If you're doing the exercise for tension or strength, sorry, I know I'm rambling off of upper body topic here, but sometimes it really depends on what the goal is. Are we trying to target that area for tension, or is it for strength? Or a lot of the kids I work with in my cerebral palsy group just have a general weakness. There's prolapsing and things like that. And another really good way in your standing exercises, if you're lacking range of motion to do some of the stuff I was showing you, just add a ball between your legs. I think I have this one too. This is a really good one to add to your standing exercises. This ball has a little bit of, so just add a ball, or even better, if you have the yoga ring set, I'm loving this. And you just put it right between the legs, and it kind of forces a little, versus just your squat, it's forcing more action. So just a couple of ideas. Sorry, I never have the short answer. Sorry about that. I hope that offered a little bit more insight. And for the rest of you, if there's no upper body exercises, I know it's Monday, and Debbie can be a lot on the cranium, sometimes with all of her talking. I wish you the best of luck with the upper body toning. As I said, next week we'll get into some golf and gardening exercises that you can incorporate into your existing routine or into your extra stuff outside. I hope it wasn't too much. I appreciate that. And if you do have any other questions after your head stops spinning from listening to me, feel free to put those in the comments, and I will just tag me if you think of something after the fact. I'll be happy to answer those for you. Have a great rest of your week. I will see you on Monday, and enjoy the vitamin D. Get yourself outside and enjoy some of that sunshine we're seeing. Have a great rest of the